Holland, along with several other members of Draco's family, including other children, were in the bedroom together when the shot was fired. However, Holland fled the scene prior to officers' arrival. Lubbock police, along with investigators of the Lubbock, Texas Anti-Gang Center, were able to locate Holland a little before 11:30 last night near 45th Street and Avenue P. Once he was located, he led officers on a short foot pursuit. It was during this pursuit that Holland attempted to throw a firearm from his person. That weapon was retrieved and is currently being held as evidence. Holland was also apprehended by personnel engaged in the foot pursuit. Holland is currently charged with evading on foot, 2 counts of tampering with evidence, and a lawful carrying of a weapon. He was transported to the Lubbock County Detention Center, where he's currently being held on a $250,000 bond. At this time, we want to take a moment to remind the public that our hearts break, along with yours, at the loss of this precious life. This little boy had his entire life before him, and unfortunately, he is not here today. At that, this is not only a tragedy, but frankly, it's outrageous, ladies and gentlemen. Please know that yesterday evening's call has affected every single individual who responded to the scene and each person who is investigating the case. We also want to take this time to clarify several things surrounding this investigation. First and foremost, it is ongoing. It is not finished, nor will it be completed anytime soon. We recognize there are quite a few theories floating around the internet and social media, beginning last night and continuing on through today. We are asking the public to allow us time to investigate every possibility to ensure we are able to bring justice to Draco. As with many cases, there is a large amount of evidence to process, and our investigators, as we speak, are working with forensic specialists to go over every single aspect of this case. While one person has been arrested on the charges mentioned a few moments ago, that does not preclude additional charges from being filed against anyone involved in this tragic event or anyone who attempts to thwart the investigation of this event. I want to be very clear. Anyone involved who had any manner of culpability in this will be charged. Before we open this up for any questions you may have, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge our first responders. Our LPD personnel immediately responded to the location and initiated tactical medicine and emergency medical techniques. Unfortunately, they were to no avail. But for those men and women, as well as the first responders from the Lubbock Fire Department and ambulance service, we thank you. These men and women are a testament to our department, to public service, and for those whose goal is to protect life. At this time, I'll open it up to questions.
Chief, understanding that this is still an ongoing investigation, I understand that there are certain things that you cannot disclose at this time. However, it sounds as though the situation may have been one where individuals were maybe playing with a gun. Can you address the situation?
I can't speak on that right now. Obviously, the investigation, again, is ongoing. It's its very infancy. That's a specific that we don't have as of yet, or are not willing to comment on. Does that make sense? Okay.
But it does not appear that the child was a target and was shot and injured.
Again, I'm not going to rule out any possibility at this moment.
Chief, can you tell us about the suspect's record, if there is any?
There is yes, ma'am, there is a criminal history.
Can you go into that?
I won't go into detail on it. I can tell you that it does involve narcotics.
Is everybody in the house, that was about the family, everybody who was in that bedroom, is everybody cooperating with the investigation at this time?
I would suggest that that question needs to be left up to investigators. I think there's a multitude of facets that have to be gone through before we can make that determination. Okay?
When it comes to the weapon that was recovered, can you tell us if that weapon was reported stolen or what the status of that weapon is?
As of this point, we do not have any indication that it was stolen, but I'm not ruling out that possibility. It may simply have not been reported as of yet.
And so it may not have been legally owned by that individual?
That is possible, yes.
Do you anticipate any murder or manslaughter charges?
I'm not going to rule out any charging count.
Any indication that the shooting of the child was on purpose or accidental?
Once again, we're not ruling any possibility out. We are, again, at the very infancy in the investigation.
Chief, you mentioned statements being made on social media. How detrimental is it to any investigation when people start making comments and things of that nature on these sites?
Well, as you would imagine, any false information that's being presented out there that other individuals may take as fact becomes an issue for our investigators. In addition to that, it just muddies the waters for us because obviously the vast majority of people speaking on this topic don't really have any insight or necessarily have absolutely no insight. And so I'll just leave it at that.
Chief, in the last probably 2 years, there's been multiple shootings that have involved youth in Lubbock. Do you have anything to say to the community or citizens about this and addressing that?
Sure I do. It is our responsibilities as citizens to ensure that firearms do not end up in the hands of juveniles who would use those for nefarious purposes, or small children who may get a hold of a weapon and unfortunately discharge it. It's our responsibility, not the child's responsibility, but ours.
Along those same lines, a lot of these guns that are being used, that are injuring juveniles or being used by juveniles, have been stolen out of cars. How big a problem is that?
It continues to be an issue. As I've spoke on just about every press conference we've held that involves something similar with gunplay, we're talking about people who are leaving their weapons in their vehicles at night and unfortunately not securing them properly. And these vehicles are being broken into and firearms are being stolen. They're being used in egregious offenses ranging from robberies to murder. Now, I'm not suggesting that was the case here. I'm just saying that obviously is a huge concern for not only this community, but every community throughout the United States.
But that poor decision could potentially be leading to the death in cases like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you confirm the spelling of Drako?
J-R-A-K-O. Anything else? Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.